Next item on the agenda is roll call.
Dennis M. Clark.
Here.
Becky Curtis.
Here.
Julie Oswitz.
Here.
Roy Estes. John Ingram.
Here.
Next item on the agenda is public participation. If there's anybody wishing to address the council, please come to the corner of the table, and I think we have some information, fill your name and your address, and we can give them 5 minutes to address the council. Okay. Seeing none, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any requests to move items from the consent agenda to the regular agenda? Seeing none, the clerk will now read the items on the consent agenda.
Item A, motion to approve the minutes of the September 20, 2021 regular session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Next item on the agenda is the city manager's report. Manager Rasmussen is out of town, so Director Johnson will be filling in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of quick things to note. We are closing in, or actually we did finish out fiscal year FY21 on September 30th last week. So Finance Department has been working with all department heads to ensure that we get everything paid to date. And as we finish closing out the year, we should have year-end numbers within the next month or so. Also, we had a street maintenance, asphalt maintenance program. They came in and applied a rejuvenator to a couple of streets. A couple of those that include Grote, Ashland, Park Street, High Street, Oak, and then also Weston Subdivision. Again, that just a little preventive maintenance to help the longevity of the asphalt. And then also just a quick shout out this week is actually Public Power Week. So just a week to show appreciation to the folks involved with public power, and again, kind of some of the advantages that come with us owning our own electric system and things. So it is a week to show our appreciation there. And also kind of on a note regarding our power supply, the bills that everybody is receiving now, their October bills, that's actually usage from August 15th through September 15th. We had one of our highest August in recent history. Typically we are a July peak community, but this year our peak was actually set in August. We sold more electricity in August than we did in July. And I think a big reason that we kind of looking to see what might have been those factors, when we went back and kind of looked at average temperature during that time frame this year was about 9 degrees higher than normal, and about 6 degrees higher than last year. So again, that would explain people's air conditioners running more. So again, there were higher bills here this one than last month, and that's kind of not necessarily the norm for us. So, but again, it was good. Like I said, it was, I think 2015, you had to go back to 2015 to have an August where we purchased that amount of electricity from Black Lake. So that's good, showing that we do have some growth on the electric side. And that's all I have.
Questions or comments? Thank you. That will conclude the manager's report. Next item on the agenda is an update from EDOC. Mr. Rimmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Several things. Project QTC that I've been wondering if they would ever get this concrete poured. They not only have the concrete poured, they have the building up, and it's a very nice looking building. It's going to be a great addition, especially since it went to an area that our engineers told us we would never sell, and we feel pretty good about that. So it's up and it's not finished yet, obviously, but they want to be in by the first year, and it appears to me that they're going to be able to do that. Most of the other projects are the same, except for Project Coffee that I've talked to you about. They're probably going to open next week. Things appear to be headed that way, so that'll be a nice deal for them. Project Nonprofit has told me that they're finalizing the lease, and it looks good there, so we're excited about that happening. On the downside, Project Singularity that I put Cameron in for, has not chosen us as one of the locations they're looking for. And I would tell you, it sounds like a broken record, but it's a fact. We were eliminated for lack of building, and so that would eliminate that project. One other one last Wednesday, I hosted several folks from here with a prospect that's looking. This is a service retail type project. Excuse me. And that project is continuing on. As a matter of fact, we will be with the owner tomorrow and look at their facility and go from there. So we're getting a visit out of that, and that's a good deal. In August, we have a total of 10 different projects come through our office for here. There's presently about 9 that are active altogether. Now that, when I say August, that was in August alone, so that takes in some others. Some of those have been canceled out since then as well, but we have about 9 that are active right now. That would include the one that we're going to be visiting with tomorrow. So, but I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions, comments? Okay.
Thank you.
Robert, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have a second and final reading on Bill 2021-33.
Bill 2021-33, an ordinance of the City of Cameron, Missouri, amending certain sections of the City of Cameron Code, updating references to the age of juveniles, minors, to comply with current state statutes.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to pass Bill 2021-33 on second and final reading by roll call.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Discussion?
Any further questions?
Pretty self-explanatory.
We'll proceed with that.
Becky Curtis,
Yes.
Julie Osmond,
Yes.
Roy Estes, John Ingram,
Yes.
Dennis M. Clark.
Yes. Bill 2021-33 passes, 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Next item on the agenda, we have a discussion of cats running at large and also the feral cat program. So anyway, we had talked about this a little bit, and I asked to have it placed on the agenda. So just as a place to begin, and then we'll kind of bounce around. To me, it seems like we should at least examine the idea that cats must be under our control 100% of the time, because I don't know that that's actually happening or going to happen. I've never seen a cat on a leash. And the second thing is to have conversations about establishing a feral cat program where we will spay and neuter and then release the cats, which are very, as I understand it, very territorial, and see if we can't slow the, we'll never eliminate it, but see if we can't slow the cat population from multiplying. So that's kind of where we're at as a beginning. Does somebody want to start us off?
With the discussion.
With the discussion, I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't have any numbers. I haven't taken any count, but it does seem like there are a lot of cats around. And I guess, are there enough that we should be doing something for it? Yes.
I think every area of town has got its share of feral cats. Every area does. And yeah, I think trap neuter release is a proven method to slow down the numbers. I think you mentioned that cats are territorial, so take steak and stuff. It's got, in that area, there's a bunch of feral cats. If we can just trap, neuter, and then give them back. If we took the cats and euthanized them, more cats are gonna move in. There's a food source, more cats are gonna move in. If you sterilize the cats, they're not gonna let other cats come, and the numbers are gonna dwindle. It's amazing. Cats come in heat, and they'll stay in heat till they get bred. So, a couple of times a year, you're having kittens. So if we can sterilize the cats, that number's gonna reduce. New York City uses this method to reduce the number of their feral cats. So I think that would be something that the town needs.
So what would the recurring need for this be? I mean, it sounds like you do it once and it'll help, but it wouldn't eliminate it completely. It would probably need to be redone each
Oh.
year, or how would that work?
I think we would need to take an area and when you take the cat to the vet, they sterilize the cat, they nip the ear, so we know that cat's been fixed. And usually a cat's not gonna go in a trap twice, they're pretty smart. So we work on an area, and it takes a couple of years to really see a difference, you know, but I just think, yeah, it's gonna take a couple of years of constant trapping and neutering to really tell the difference.
So you do it continuously then for a couple of years, or do you kind of
Yeah,
just
oh,
try to
yeah.
get a picture of how it works?
Yeah, it would probably be an ongoing project.
Right.
Councilwoman Osmus, anything?
Well, I actually think we ought to do it. If you remember that, text or whatever that I read last week, that, a cat and its and its kittens could breed, 477,000 over a 7-year period. And so I do think it's necessary. How do we know that we're not trapping pets, I guess would be my question.
Well, one, your cat's not supposed to run at large.
Well, I know,
But,
but-
so we pick an area,
Okay,
and we can send out flyers and say, hey, we are gonna be trapping in this area. If you have a cat, put a collar on it,
okay.
and we will release those cats. And it's not gonna be like we're gonna take 50 cats up to the vet at a time, it'll be, you know, we only have so many traps, so.
Right.
But yeah, we let the area know that, hey, we're gonna be working on this. If you're gonna let your cat out, identify it somehow, we'll let it go back home.
What about,
That's my concern, is how do we know not to get pets, so.
That seems like a reasonable solution.
so cost, I mean, I have no idea ballpark.
I mean, you could just throw a number out there. I mean, Sue Spring, you've been experienced with this before, haven't you? What do you say, like a startup cost of $5,000? What?
I think that would be a good startup cost, and I think that, if we could, you've talked it previously to, who did you talk to?
We've
About
been trying to work
regular-
with Casey Spare and
Yeah,
Neuter, but they had
about-
shut down because of COVID.
Are they open back up yet?
They've opened back up, but, you know, you still have to work out the details. We also, met a young lady from Hamilton, she's just starting up a cat rescue, organization. I don't think she's fully licensed yet, but she's working on that.
Uh-huh.
And she worked with municipalities to address the cat issue. So we have been in discussion with other organizations as far as trying to help the city.
We are. Actually, I was doing some research today on this because I knew we were discussing it. To be spayed or neutered up to a 130-pound dog is $110, and then it's $130 when they're over that. There is a place, and I gave you one, that will actually do it according, and this is what we talked about in our, that they will actually do this for under low-income people to help get their cats and dogs neutered and spayed and well taken care of. Isn't that what they were gonna be coming to camp?
Yeah.
They have a portable vet.
Like a mobile vet. But, you know, things have changed since COVID, so I don't know if that's still,
They're open.
yeah.
I checked.
Councilwoman, you said dog, are you referring to cats, or are you talking about?
It's all the same.
It's all the same,
Literally.
too, okay.
It's literally, if you're gonna do one, I mean, you literally need to do the others, and most all cities. I talked to Clinton today, and they have 70 cats in their thing. How many cats do we have in our?
At our shelter?
Yeah.
Oh, right now, 2.
Okay. And do we have cages? I've never known that we have cages.
Oh, yeah, we have some very nice cat condos.
I mean, to catch the cats.
Oh, to catch cats, yes, we have cat
We have
traps,
those,
yeah,
too?
live traps, yes.
Actually, I was asking this code enforcement who takes care of all the animals. She says that if, I said, well, I know we have some houses that are empty that neighbors, well-meaning neighbors, actually feed them. And is that, we have that going on here?
The old ladies that are not gonna let the cats starve, we have plenty of those.
According to this city, who's ever feeding them is their cat.
Yes, it is, but then immediately it's not their cat, they'll quit feeding them and they want them gone. But yeah, yeah.
I thought that was interesting, I didn't know that. And it takes money, and there is a program that does it for under low income,
Yep,
which
they go like
is
this.
generally, from what I was talking to the lady today, and I've talked to you before too, Kathy, usually it's the people that are low incomes that have trouble with their animals, is that right?
Yeah, I think the KC project, when I met with them, they basically identified a certain area, or a certain target area in the community, which are basically low-income areas to help people, either, get their pets fully vaccinated or spayed or neutered.
So I'm confused. Are we talking about feral cats? Are we talking about cats that belong to people with low incomes? Or are we talking about both?
It should be two separate things.
Okay.
It should be two separate things. Right now, our feral cat population is huge, and a lot of times if we can take care of that feral cat population, that's gonna include the old lady that doesn't own the cats, but is still feeding them.
Okay.
So, but I think the low-income spay neuter should be something totally different than, let's work on the feral cat population.
So where do you take them if you get it from feral cat?
Well, our vet will spay and neuter a feral cat. A spay would be $50, and that's a pretty good discount, is our vet.
It's Savannah, right?
No,
No.
we go to Loving Care. Savannah also gives us a great deal. They just have some vet issues, and they only do surgeries once a week, and they're booked up for months. So we usually go to Loving Care in Pleasant Valley for our surgeries.
So I heard the number $5,000. My concern on this was we would do it and it just wouldn't be nearly enough, and we wouldn't be able to make a dent. Would we be able to, with the number of cats in this area?
If they were females, if my math is right, that's 100 cats, right? For females, it's gonna be less for males. And yes, I think that would make a huge dent.
Can I start something?
Yeah, because it would be a start.
Yeah,
Even
I
if-
just, yeah.
What we're
We
doing
could,
is working.
I'm sorry.
No criticism, but what we're doing is working, so.
Right, well, feral cats, they get euthanized, more cats move in. 2 summers ago, over on North Mead, in 4 days, we picked up 28 cats. I think 4 or 5 of them were mothers that were either pregnant or just had babies. So imagine what those 20 babies were gonna do,
Can you ask this, do you have an opinion on this?
It sounds a little, the low income deal was the bus that we talked about last year, correct?
Yeah,
But that wouldn't be able to be used for what?
the
we're talking
cat
feral
said
cat.
it's 2 separate issues.
Right,
Yes.
so feral cat program would be its very own program.
Yeah, it will be the city's owned and operated feral cat program.
And when we need to get a contract with either local or,
local vets are a lot more expensive.
okay.
That's why we drive Pleasant Valley, because he gives us a really good rate. And I don't know if that $50 would be for all the feral cats, or if he'd give us a better deal for that, I'm not sure. And I don't know what Spady or Kansas City would do.
I don't think their prices probably change.
One thing we might be able to do is simply say, yes, assuming everybody's interested, we'll task you with coming up with a feral cat program, we'll fund it for $5,000 or whatever, and just go ahead and task them to get it started, and they can get down in the weeds and make what's a good decision or not. Just, are we at the stage that we are willing to deal with feral cats? I am.
So would we take that out of reserves then?
I think what we do is just task
Right.
them to come up with, can you pay for it? And maybe it's reserves, maybe it isn't. I can't help but think that eventually it might become much more revenue neutral once you get rid of the problem, but there will be some initial pain at the beginning, but, and it's one of those things, if we see it's not gonna work, it doesn't mean the program has to go on forever, but, as as Kathy had indicated, we have a major problem with a lot of feral cats, and so maybe try something different. How do both of you feel about this?
I gotta trust your judgment for there being a problem. I mean, I don't see a lot in my neighborhood that.
I'm not one to just throw money at things, and I do know that every city has feral cat issues. I really like to keep our citizens safe. That's a big priority to mine. And if that's not happening, then yeah, but if our citizens at risk with these cats?
Cats carry,
Well, I know what they carry, but generally there's something that comes to our attention that there's a problem. And we have, we're like any other city.
One thing you also have to understand about feral cats, not only can they transmit disease to humans, they can cause bodily injury, they can also be destructive to.
Right, but the
property.
difference between a cat that's left, that left the town, left the home, that is not a feral cat. That is a cat that you can only pick up. Now, a feral cat cannot be touched, won't even let it near you.
No,
You have to use a stick to get them.
correct.
trap, yeah, you'd have to
Right,
trap it.
okay, so that cat, as dangerous as it is not gonna get around people. So I do want them out of our city to be safe. I just would like to see what we're throwing money at first, is all I wanna do. That's all I wanna do.
So what, and I hear you, what info would you need to
Well,
see
Denny,
that?
you brought this up, so somebody must have brought this to your attention, and I'd like to see it.
It's been an ongoing situation for a number of years, and we've talked about it off and on. The thing that really initiated it with me is we had a citizen very unhappy about his cat got caught running at large, and it's against the rules, and so I view it as two different issues. Number one, do we want to do anything about cats running at large? Right now, we're talking about feral cats. Do we want to reduce our problem? In my view, we've already heard we have a large feral cat population, so doing something different makes sense to me, and we let the staff design it because they're the experts. We simply say we want it handled and we'll provide funding up to a certain level. That's what I'm saying, and it's up to them to come up with a program that works.
Can this go through a committee first before it comes back to us? To vet it?
That's a council decision.
What?
I don't know.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, you don't want to just throw money at something that it doesn't cause really any problem.
Can I say something? This is my expertise also.
Yes.
So, last fall, when we started the community development fund, I talked to Steve about.
Can you kind of like here?
Can you hear? Okay. Last year, when we started the community projects fund, I had asked for, I might need some help. If I need help, can I have some money? Like, I may not, but I may. I'm gonna give you the humane side of this because that's what I deal with, because that's what I do. I'm a rescue. Took 2 kittens off of 4th and Walnut 2 months ago, running across the street. Those feral kittens, those 2 little kittens cost me $400 some so far. And one of them got very sick, and that's the humane part of it. I could have let those kittens go and they could have met their demise underneath the car or whatever. I don't do that. And so, at that time, the city was full, and Kathy was, I don't know where, but anyway, Paul was doing it. They didn't have any room. I took them, because I was there, I saw them. I've got 2 other ones that came from the city pound. I spend a lot of money on these animals. A lot of it's my own. And I don't really advertise that, and I don't take people's own cats, but I am telling you, there's nothing sadder, absolutely sadder, than to get those goopy-eyed, sick little babies that, for no reason and no fault of their own. I will go back 20-some years to Safe Haven, and a council told me I couldn't do anything about the dogs running at large, or the stray dogs, or the problem we had, and we were euthanizing, and we did it. And we did it with the council, and we did it with the city, and we did it with the vets, and we did it. So this is not as much as it is a money thing, and I know that's what it's at, there's a humane thing to this, and nobody wants to see, you don't wanna see it at your back door this winter, that kitten or cat crying, I don't wanna see it, I'm not gonna see it, because if I see it, it's not gonna happen. So, there's just things you do because you do. Does that make sense? You do it because it's the right thing to do. You couldn't put a price on it for anything. But Kathy and I have talked about this years. Spay and neuter, or the trap, neuters, and release for years. And I think with this council, we can do this. And I myself can fundraise. I mean, I have no problem asking people for money. None at all. And I don't get turned down very often. So, that's just something that we could, and that's why I thought, okay, well, if we do the spay, neuter, catch and neuter, whatever you wanna call it, and then release, you know, it's going to be a lot of work on Kathy, huge amount of work on Kathy, but if it's done properly and has a cooperation of the homeowner or who is ever feeding the cats, and it's not a big hurry because it's not gonna be a fast thing at all. And then you're gonna lose some cats. I mean, you're gonna spend the money and they're gonna get out there and they're gonna die. That's just, but you are gonna see a difference. And I can tell you this, and then I'm gonna quote Jim McKinley, when I first started Safe Haven, and he said, you know, Sue, and if I see a dog running through my property, you know what I do? I don't know what he did, and he said, I shoot. A year later, he said, you know, Sue, I haven't seen any dogs running through my property. He said, I think it's working. Because people were bringing their animals to town or letting them out in the city, outside the city limits. And I think we've seen, if you don't remember then, you can't appreciate now. If you don't remember what it was like 20-some years ago, you cannot absolutely appreciate what it's now is almost utopia. So anyway, I say give Kathy the okay and do the.
Thank you. My challenge with this is, and I'm going from memory, but we've been talking about this for at least 2 years. So I want, as far as my position, I want to go ahead and make a decision. We're either in, turn the staff over to do it, or we're not. But it sounds like Councilwoman Curtis feels a little different about that.
I'm not saying it's not needed, this just got sprung on us. And I really, one of the reasons we do our visions, our annual meetings, to do what we're gonna do for the next 12 months, this wasn't a part of it. So what we're doing is we're going straight off of what we as a council said we wanted, with the directions we wanted to go. I don't mind looking into it, I don't mind having an answer at all. But I think I just like for it to vet it some and see how it's gonna play out.
I think, like I said, I think we kind of, all the council kind of wants us to look at this, give staff the opportunity to go back, put some numbers to this, put a program together and bring us back, let's bring something back to you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
What it might look like, what it's gonna cost, how we're gonna fund it, things, answer some of those questions.
Okay. All right. Well, how does everybody else think? Want to just go ahead and tackle it that way?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Thank you. Okay, that concludes unfinished business. Next item on the agenda is new business. We have a first reading on Bill 2021-34. I think the manager has a comment on that.
Yeah, on the first item there under new business, was the agreement to sell the land to NW Electric, what we talked about behind the water plant. We're still waiting on the environmental assessment on that, so we don't have that contract at this time, so we're gonna hold off on that until we get that. We were hoping to have it by tonight, but we didn't get it.
We'll go ahead and pull that off the agenda. Next item is a first reading on Bill 2021-35.
Bill 2021-35, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cameron, Missouri to enter into a power purchase agreement with Platte Clay Electric Cooperative.
Thank you, Chair. We entertain a motion to pass Bill 2021-35 on a first reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, Director.
So what you have before you tonight is an ordinance to authorize the city to enter into a power purchase agreement with Platte Clay Electric. Plaque Lay is currently our power provider, and have been for quite some time. I think the agreement we're working off now is a version of 1957, and then it was amended back in 1990. The agreement would be for 20 years, and again, it would be a sole source, they'd be our sole source power provider. We did look into what options we had earlier this year, and actually started beginning last year, looking at what options we have and see if we could, what we could get on the open market through another power pool, things like that. While there was maybe some savings on the energy side, there'd be a little bit of cost of transmission. It came down, and it was still a cheaper option for the city to be a member of Plaque Clay as opposed to be looking on the open market. And another thing that we were kind of looking at the winter storm Uri, which happened February 10th through 20th, which I'm sure you guys probably remember. We saw a tremendous spike in natural gas went from $3 a metric million British thermal unit to $1,000, and that left a lot of people with that had natural gas in their energy portfolio, left them with a hefty price tag. So much that even the state legislature passed measures to allow to put forth $50 million for interest-free loans for communities to kind of help pay those bills. We didn't have that problem with Plaque Clay. And again, I think that's part of their three-tiered co-op approach. We didn't have the transmission or have that market exposure that some other municipalities did. So again, that was just kind of the icing on the cake to solidify that we're probably making the right decision by staying with Plaque Lay Electric. Now I know in the past there was some talks. The city obviously, as we look to expand and grow and where our load might be, we've talked about putting a substation in different locations, and that was actually even discussed back when they lasted this amendment to the contract in 1990. And so Plaque Lay was willing to put in there some language basically stating that they will provide us power at a point, delivery point that's mutually agreed upon by the two parties. So while Plaque Clay was interested, and I think they would definitely be a partner with us if we went to look to expand and had the need for an additional substation. They weren't necessarily willing just to commit, say, X amount of dollars, or we'll provide X amount of dollars for a substation. But I do think it is something that if and when that point in time comes, I think there are not only Plaque Clay, but I think there's other interested parties that would definitely be interested and have some benefit from us building a substation, provided it's maybe in the location of an industrial park or in that area of town. So, but again, it is a 20-year agreement. That's a long-term commitment from the city. And again, this ordinance is for your consideration tonight.
Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and proceed to vote. All those in favor of passing Bill 2021-35 on first reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, next item on the agenda is Resolution 2021-39, and I think the clerk has a comment on that particular resolution.
There has been additional discussion on this from both staff, council, and others. And I wanted to know if you guys wanted to postpone that for another meeting, or if you were going to refer it.
Oh, I think it needs to go to committee.
Is that what
You
you
guys-
Committee, I think, wants to listen to some of the board chairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and remove that from the agenda, then, it sounds like everybody's okay with that.
Okay.
All right. Okay, next item on the agenda, Resolution 2021-40.
Resolution 2021-40, a resolution for the city of Cameron, Missouri, approving budget adjustment 1 for the budget year of October 1, 2021 to September 20, September 30, 2022.
Thank you. Chair, entertain a motion to pass resolution 2021-40.
So we have to make a motion to bring it in for discussion,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and then if you wanted to table it, if you wanted to pass it, if you
Right,
wanted
yes.
to fail. But this and a second, doesn't mean you necessarily agree with it, it puts it on the floor.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, discussion.
All right. I've been thinking about this, and, since we haven't even had our first hearing yet concerning what's going on with the city, that, I think it's a good step that this was a resolution that was put out, put on the agenda. I stand wholeheartedly behind our city, and will use anything possible that I can do to protect our city. However, at this time, I would like to postpone this until we actually know more of what's going on with the situation.
Is there a
And I
second?
make a motion.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, discussion, I guess my only question would be, is this gonna create any significant challenges that can't wait until the next meeting?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and proceed to vote. All those in favor of postponing, resolution 2021-40 until the next meeting, please signify by saying aye.
No,
Aye.
it's not the next meeting. I didn't make a motion to the next meeting.
Oh, okay, just postponing it.
Just postponing it.
Postponing it.
So does that mean we can then bring it up when, we can just put it on an agenda whenever we feel it's the right time? Yeah, I hear that.
Yes, I didn't.
So we'll just
pick up.
postpone it to a later date.
Yes.
Oh, all right, we would be voting to postpone resolution 2021-40 until a later date. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Okay, that brings us to our second public participation. If there's anybody wishing to address the council, please come forward to the corner of the table. Leave your name and your address. You'll be given 5 minutes to address the council. Okay. Seeing none, that will conclude our second public participation. Miscellaneous comments from the staff? Sir?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir. Chief O'Donnell?
No, sir.
Director? Counselor?
No.
Okay. All right, that concludes comments from the staff. And
Hello?
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I just want to let council know that I will be out of the office Thursday and Friday on bereavement leave. The Fall Festival from the old school will be held next Saturday, October 9th. So I invite everybody to go out there and enjoy the Fall Festival. And March Fest will be Saturday, October 16th. And I was going to say check Facebook because we do have information on that on Facebook, but Facebook's been down all day. So whenever it comes back up, I believe there's good information out there about those events.
Thank you, and apologies. Sorry. Okay, that will now conclude miscellaneous comments from the staff. Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous comments from the council. Councilman Ingram.
I want to echo what Becky said about making sure that always, now and always, we are doing what's in the best interest of the city. That's going to be increasingly important here as we move forward, and I, for one, am looking forward to defending the city at all costs. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilwoman?
I had the opportunity to attend the MML conference in St. Louis this year with several other staff members and council members. And the one thing that impressed me while I was there is that we have an energetic, committed, large organization standing behind us so that we can get the work done that we need to at this level. Thank you for allowing me to go.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun and very informative. It talked about a budget and planning and zoning, so it was really interesting. Also, I would like like to, we have, on March Fest is coming up on October 16th. They need help. This is one of the biggest things that comes into our city. It is going to bring in lots of revenue. I'm a volunteer, and I challenge you all to stand and show the people that come here, we got a lot of big cities that are coming here, that we are a city of hospitality, because we are. And so I would really, employ you to sign up and help, and get to see all those young band members. So that's all I have to say.
Well, sorry, Shelley. At the MML, one of our people there got an award.
She did.
We have pictures, Jimmy, if you want to get that. I just wanted to congratulate you on the wonderful job you're doing, and as well,
Thank
sir.
you.
That's it.
I certainly would echo that. The manager is, again, we've discussed it several times, but I just feel like it is so noteworthy, our demolition program on these abandoned houses, that it is a problem for communities and cities all across this country. And we won a statewide award, and I believe now they're out collecting an international award for innovation. So, there's a lot of challenges, but you know what? We do plenty of things right too. That's certainly one of them. So, anyway, that's it for me. And next item on the agenda would be executive session for attorney-client communication and personnel. Chair would entertain a motion that we go into executive session by roll call.
So moved.
Second?
Julie Osmond.
Yes.
Roy Estes.
Yes.
John Ingram.
Yes.
Dennis M. Clark.
Yes.
Becky Curtis.
Yes.
Motion carries.